How's it going, everybody? We're back at it with another one, and today we're going to talk about the hardships of life. So, you know how we're doing this. We're taking it a mile at a time. If not now, when? Let's get to it. Welcome back, everybody. So today I wanted to talk about the hardships of life. So the reason I wanted to talk about that is because I've told you guys before, back in the day, way back, I struggled with having a home. You know what I mean? Like I've told you guys before, I was homeless, not in the sense where I was living on the streets, but in the sense of I was couch surfing, you know, staying over here where I could stay for like on their couch for like a week, staying over here in a bedroom that I rented out for like a month, or you know what I mean? Like I was just bouncing around from place to place to place to place. So I never really had a place to call home. You know what I mean? Now I do, and I appreciate that. But back then, I didn't have, like I said, I was just going around place to place, just staying where I could. So yes, I was homeless because I didn't have that home. I didn't have a, what you would say, a permanent address. You know, I guess you could say everything was just changing mailing addresses, or however you want, or maybe a mailing address here, but my permanent was in multiple spots. You know what I mean? So I've had plenty of people take me in, plenty of people who turned me down for one reason or another, and that's why I want to talk about that. Is because what you guys need to understand, what you guys need to realize is you guys need, whatever hardships you're going through, you guys have to go through those hardships in order to become the person you're supposed to become. You know what I mean? Like nobody's perfect. If everybody's perfect, you know what I mean? Like there'd be no great underdog story, no great comeback story. You know what I mean? A lot of people love the underdog story. They love that comeback story, you know, where someone faced adversity and they were able to turn it around and come out on the other end stronger, come out better, because they learned the lesson they were supposed to learn. That's all that is. That hardship you're going through, God didn't put you through that hardship for no reason. There's a reason for your hardship. If you could figure out what that reason is, figure out the lesson you need to learn to come out stronger and better on the other side, then that's what's really going to count. For me, when I was homeless, you know, living in different areas, different spots, different areas, whatever you want to put it, I lived in a couple different states as well. So for me, when I was in that moment, not really having a home, up until now, when I got my home and I was able to provide for my kids, myself, have a roof, a bed, you know, everything to myself. How I like to say it all the time, and I joke when I say it, but I'm the king of the castle here. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that in a derogative way, and you know, that's not taking shots at them. That's just, you know what I mean? Like, I'm king of the castle. What I say goes in my home. And that just feels good, because living with all these different people, friends, family, whoever it was, I had no say. You know, I had to be back at home, and I had to be back at a certain time because I couldn't be out late at night, or I couldn't have people come over, or you know, I wasn't able to get that parking spot, or you know what I mean? Like whatever it is, there's always stipulations to it. And that was my biggest thing. I got to a point in life where I talked about it before, where I was just sitting there. It's like this isn't what my life was meant to be like. This isn't what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not supposed to be here right now. And once I realized that, as a matter of fact, I talked about that with the Crazy Bone song. If you guys remember that video, that song was "Hard to Let Go" by Crazy Bone. I remember, and I said it in that video. I was looking out my window, and that song was playing, and I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here. This isn't what my life is supposed to be like. And from that point on, I still had my struggles, but I was able to come out on the other end. So now, once I got my home, I was kind of in shock. I was like, I did it. This is my home. I finally made it out. Now I'm not living over here and over here and over here and over here, where people's like, hey, where do I got to pick you up this time? Because I didn't even have a car then. I went from no home, no vehicle, you know, bounce around place to place, always taking the bus or catching rides with whoever I can catch a ride with, always having to pay gas money. I went from that to now I got a home and I got two vehicles. You're going through your hardships because that's what you need to go. There's something you need to learn. There's something you need to figure out. There's something there that you haven't done yet or you haven't went through to get you to where you need to be. That's what that is. That's what those hardships are. You need to go through those hardships. If you can figure out what lesson do I need to learn to get out of this? What do I need to figure out? What is it that's going to get me out of this situation and get me in a better situation? And I've done that. I've gone through homelessness. I've gone through always having to, catch a ride with somebody or whatever. How many times people tell you no? You know what I mean? That's embarrassing when you got to go out and like, hey, can I crash on your couch this week? Can I just rent that? I noticed you got an extra room. Can I rent that out for like a month or for a little bit just till I get back on my feet? You know how many times I use that line just until I get back on my feet? You know how long that took? That took a long time for me. Pretty much since about, I want to say that was 19, 20 years old. Let me see, 18, 19, about 19, 20. 21, around that time, 19 to 21 years old. From then all the way up until my home that I live in now, that I've been here for quite some time now, I wouldn't say 20 years, that's less than 20 years. 15 or so years living like that. You know what I mean? Like again, I thought about doing this, speaking. Well, I first was introduced to Eric Thomas back in 2012. I didn't think about speaking then. My thought process when I first heard his video was, if this man can do it, homeless, living on the streets, high school dropout, eating out of trash cans, and he can get to where he's at now. I wasn't as far below, but I did get my high school diploma. I did get an associate's degree. I do have a certificate as well. So I already started, I guess you could say, ahead. And this isn't a knock on him. E.T.'s my mentor. He's a great guy. I love that guy. He's the one who got me wanting to do this. But I believe if you were to line our lives up, I did start with a little bit head start above him. You know what I mean? Because I did get a diploma. I wasn't living on the streets. I wasn't. So, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean by that. But for him to go from that to where he's at now, my thought process then was, if he could do it, what's stopping me? If he could do it, what's my excuse? Because I do have a diploma. I wasn't living on the streets. He started, I guess you could say, further below me. So what's my excuse? I got no excuses. And I was still going through all these hardships. I was going through that for quite some time, like I said, and I hated it. And I got to that point, it was around that time when I got to that point where I was like, I can't be doing this anymore. And I'm not going to get back, I'm not coming back to this point. Luckily, from then, I've been able to move up. Yeah, I moved up, kind of kept that steady, plateaued a little bit, and then moved up a little bit more. Plateaued a little bit, moved up a little bit more. I've had those hardships. I know what that's like. So once I got my place, I was able to appreciate it that much more. I remember even a few years into my place, I've been here going on, I think, 6-7 years. I remember even a few years into living here where I'm at now, I'd just be standing there like in my living room and just be like, just to myself, just, this is mine. You know, it was still almost like I was in shock about it, even though I'd been here for a few years now. That's what that feeling does to me. Matter of fact, I had that same feeling with my kids when, even as they're getting older, I look at them and I'm just like, those are my kids. They're a part of me. So that's what I'm saying is, you have to go through those hardships. And if you're still in those hardships, you haven't figured out what you need to figure out. You haven't learned the lesson you're supposed to learn. So you can come out on the other, like Buffalo, so you can come out on the other end stronger and better. Not to say, once you do come out on the other end stronger and better, you're not going to have no more hardships. No, that's not the way life goes. You're going to have plenty more hardships. You got to figure out, what lesson do I need to learn here? What do I need to try to figure out to come out on the other end stronger, better, and just to do better? Because all those moments, all those hardships are going to turn you into who you're supposed to be. You're not that person yet. You need to go through those hardships. Now, I've told plenty of my friends, if anything ever happens, my door's open to you. Why do I say that? Because I know what that's like. I know I've been in there. I've been in your shoes. If you go homeless, I'm not gonna let you go homeless. If you need help, come to me. I got a room for you. Come to me. You can stay under my roof until you get back on your feet. Matter of fact, I was telling a friend recently, I was like, man, I wish I had somebody like me around when I was going through that. But then I started thinking about that. I was like, wait a minute. I take that back. Why? Because if the mindset I was in and the way my thought process wasn't everything back then, I would have messed that up too. I would have burned that bridge too. Just because of the way, like, I wasn't thinking the way I do now. I didn't have the same mindset I have now. Now I do. So if I do fall on some hard times and someone's going to help me out, I'm gonna take advantage of that in a good way, and I'm going to try to come out even stronger and better, like I've already done before. So that's what I'm getting at is I wouldn't have been able to help myself then. And I'd go back and help myself then with a place to live in, because I think I would have messed that up. So I had to go through everything I went through in order to get to where I'm at now. Now my door's open to people. Hey, you need help? I got you. Don't trip. Why? Because I've been there. I know what that's like. And I hated that feeling when I was in that position. So if I can give you a helping hand, I'm going to do it. Because I know the feeling. That's why a lot of people try to help out other people depending on what it is, because they've been there. They know what that's like. They understand the feeling. They don't want people to feel that way, so they're going to help them. I've come a long way since how I used to think. Now, I change up my thinking. I try to think more critically. Think more logically about things. And that's how I go about things. But I'm telling you, those hardships are meant for you. They're for a reason. Once you figure out that reason, once you figure out the lesson you got to learn, figure out what it is you need to figure out to come out on the other end stronger, do it, boom, good. That's one obstacle down. The next hardship that comes your way and hits you, you got to figure out, what's the lesson I got to learn here? What is it I got to figure out? What is it going to take for me to come out of this and come out stronger and better? Those hardships were meant for you. That was meant for me then. I know I'm going to have many more hardships along the way, along my journey. I'm ready for it. Actually, I take that back. I might not be. Who knows? A hardship might punch me in the face and knock me down. All I know is I'm going to have to get right back up, keep pushing forward, just like the buffalo. Get through that storm, figure out what it is I got to learn, the lesson I got to learn, and come out on the other end stronger and better. But those hardships, I'm telling you, don't look at them as a negative. Yes, it might be a negative in your life, whether it's a loss in the family or it's disaster strikes, the home, you live in a hurricane area and your home gets wiped out, tornado, your home gets wiped out, whatever the case is. Yes, it sucks. Yes, it's a hardship. It's something you're going to have to go through. You're going to have to figure out. But that hardship was meant for you. You can do better. You can come out stronger. And then you can then pass on any knowledge, any advice, anything on to the next person that might need it. Because you never know what someone's going through, what hardship they're going through. By the time they come out on the other end, they might meet someone who's going through that struggle as well. They might be in the middle of it or something, or at the beginning of it. This person may be able to help that person through. I'm telling you, you gotta, I don't want to say be happy about those hardships, but you gotta be able to understand that hardship is for you, and you gotta figure out how to come out on the other end stronger and better. That's all I got for you today. So you know how we doing this. We're taking some topics. If not now, wait.